What is up, everybody? Welcome into another edition of the Wide Eye Sports Podcast. You got as hosting as always, backwards there, Brenner, obviously. We have Riley here on my other side, and it's a dynamic duo today. We're going to be rocking and rolling. We're going to be talking about the quarterback market, essentially. Do certain guys deserve to get paid a certain amount compared to other guys? So we're going to get to all that and so much more right after this. All right, Riley, let's hop right into it, my man. Let's talk about it. The elephant in the room, as they say, 2024's highest paid quarterback, Jordan Love. What do you think about the man in green, Jordan Love?
I think it wasn't earned, but the Packers put themselves in this situation by drafting him so early, having him sit for so long. So if you look at Jordan Love's season, he had a really rough first half of the season, but the second half he kind of turned it around, and of course he had the one good playoff game against the Cowboys, and that's really what he was getting paid off of. I mean, it was very much a Daniel Jones-esque run. They make him the highest paid quarterback, and all we've seen of him are a good half of the season and a good playoff game.
Yeah. So before we get to the rest of the quarterbacks in the top 10 of the highest paid quarterbacks, I'd like to deep dive on Jordan Love a little bit. You threw out Daniel Jones a little bit ago. And I also very much agree that Daniel Jones was another situation in which he was in kind of that borderline contract year and wasn't having a terrible year, but was having a great year. And I will say that Jordan Love, in my opinion, had a better year before he got paid than Daniel Jones did. But what I will say to that is Daniel Jones had the same ending to his year that Jordan Love did, right? Daniel Jones came into Minnesota against the Vikings in that terrible defense that year and lit up that defense and looked like Josh Allen. And because of that, and because of the fact that he looked like Josh Allen against that terrible defense, the Giants went, okay, this is his peak. We have to pay this guy. We have to give him this contract extension. We have to make sure we secure him. And I feel like that's kind of what the Packers did with Jordan Love. They saw, now granted, Jordan Love had a way better, last 8 games of the season than Daniel Jones did that season. But, let's not sit here and pretend like Jordan Love was amazing all of last year. Like, he did have a stretch in which he had like a 15 to 1 touchdown interception ratio, but he also had a stretch in his first 9 games where he threw 10 interceptions. So that's over 1 full interception a game. And why that only 1 interception, that's a lot every single game. That's giving, like, if you look at it in odds wise, that's giving them a free 5% of the game. Like, it's just, you just can't be.
And when I say it was the Packers' fault, let me clarify. They gave him all this money. We really don't know what we have in Jordan Love, whether it's the first half of the week or the second half of the week. But the Packers put themselves in this situation because he sat for so long, and then the only season they got to see him play was a contract year for him.
Yeah. And, he had, I'll say this, he had, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 games. So 10 games where he had over a 100 passer rating, over a 109 passer rating was his lowest in any of that. 108, sorry. So 10 games over 108, but all the other games, I mean, we have a 32 passer rating, a 66 passer rating, a 70, a 71. These aren't good numbers in the bad games. You may be getting great play in the good games, and against good competition too. I mean, they went out and they beat the Kansas City Chiefs in the beginning of December, and Jordan Love had 267 yards, 3 touchdowns, and completed 25 of 36 balls. That's a great game. I can't complain. But then you go and play the Raiders before McDaniels gets fired, right? Like the Raiders early in the season that are struggle busing hard, and you go 16 of 30, and you throw for 182 yards and 3 interceptions with no touchdowns against a struggling Raiders team. Like
Yeah.
you can't have that. And a lot of people will point, well, you figured it out midway through the season. Well, now teams have tape on what you figured out, right? Now teams get to
Yes.
watch the tape all off season and go, okay, this is what he struggled with. This is what he did to fix that. Here's what we can do to negate his fix. And
Yes.
he doesn't know how that's going to impact him until he steps on the field. And I can't have my quarterback going into week one being like, yeah, I'll figure it out after like 6-7 weeks. I'll figure out how they're stopping me, and then we'll turn it on. Like, no, you need to. If you're the highest paid guy in the league, you need to step on that field knowing how you're going to beat the defense every week. And it was kind of the
that kind of segues into a bigger conversation about how quarterbacks are getting paid compared to the rest of the league.
Absolutely.
Whereas in any other position in the NFL, you have to be the best at that position to be the highest paid. Mm-hmm. Whereas with quarterbacks, it seems now like if you're the next guy up and your team even believes in you just a little bit, they're going to make you the highest paid at the time. I mean, I think the highest paid title has been broken like 3 times in the last couple of weeks between.
So here we go, right here, right?
I
pulled it up for you. Pulled it up for you right here.
Joe Burrow, I would say, is properly
deserving.
Paid, but I mean, is Patrick Mahomes even on the top 10?
Patrick Mahomes is currently tied for 11th with Kirk Cousins at $45 million a year. So I wanted to take a look at these 3 real quick. You have Joe Burrow, played in the Super Bowl, win healthy, second best quarterback, third best quarterback. I'd say top 3, top 3 quarterback in the league. Yep. Then you have Trevor Lawrence, who just got paid as well. And Trevor is a guy who's a first overall pick, a lot of expectations. A lot of people like to compare him to Daniel Jones thing. I think we did it on this show even maybe a month or so ago. And I get it. Like, if you compare their careers since Trevor entered the league, they're very similar. But when you remove Trevor's rookie season and you remove that one Daniel Jones good season, which were the same year, by the way, it turns slaughtering Trevor Lawrence is way better than Daniel Jones. You have to remember, Trevor Lawrence had Urban Meyer that first year. It was a huge dumpster fire. Didn't work. He was not well coached that year. He has played well. He has not played to top 5, top 10 quarterback well, but he's played to top 15 quarterback well. And I do believe he has the potential to be in this range one day, but I don't believe he's shown it yet and consistently. Anyways, he isn't consistently.
That then brings up another conversation of when does I just lost the word. What was it you used to describe tons of talent or
potential?
Man, potential. There we go. I'm sorry, complete brain part there. When does potential expire?
I would say
at this point he's had 5 years. Didn't they pick up his 5th-year option? Wouldn't this be his 6th?
5 years. Let's see here. Let me pull up his stats. Pull it up for you real quick. I believe he was drafted in 21. Yeah. So he's going into his 4th season. So they got the contract done a year early. They didn't have to do it with Trevor Lawrence. They didn't have to do it yet. And let's be real. So Jordan Love, right? Everybody likes to say this and that about Jordan Love, and I don't know if he should be paid this much. Both of Trevor Lawrence's past 2 seasons have been good. Trevor Lawrence had his sophomore year, so his rookie season, 3,600 yards, 12 touchdowns, 17 interceptions. Absolutely terrible. 3-14, god awful season. But like I said, he's playing with Urban Meyer. A bunch of stuff happened. I'm not holding that against him. Great quarterbacks have terrible rookie seasons all the time, like Peyton Manning. The sophomore year, he comes in, and after having one good year of coaching, goes for 4,100 yards, 25 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Pretty good. I like that. Then this last year, he kind of struggled a little bit at times. Teams got film on him on how he adjusted, and he threw for over 4,000 yards, over 20 touchdowns, but he threw for 14 interceptions, and that's too much. And I will say he did lead the league in drops, I believe, from wide receivers. He had a lot of drop passes. I don't know if he led the league. I shouldn't say that without knowing. He was very high on the drops list, so I shouldn't say he led it without knowing that for sure.
And I understand where the teams are coming from by paying these guys early, because by the time this money kicks in, they're going to be 10th on the list of highest paid quarterback.
And I get that's what they keep doing, right? So they keep, shove this guy up here because by the time Patrick Mahomes needs to get paid, he'll make $80 million and this $55 million won't look that bad,
Yes.
I get it.
But if by the time that money has kicked in and these guys haven't gotten any better, now you're locked in on giving these guys money before they have proven that they are that guy and can get you to a Super Bowl and are worth that money.
Yeah, so I'll say it this way right now. There's been one quarterback to ever win the Super Bowl having a cap hit over 13%, and that was Patrick Mahomes, and he only did it one time out of the 3 Super Bowl wins they had. So one dude in the history of the NFL managed to do that, and he happens to be one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. This right here, this number, this 55 million number, puts these 3 guys at 20% of their team's cap. 20%. A fifth of their cap goes straight to one player, which is why we talk about, like, with paying Dak Prescott, he's, negotiating for his contract. If he gets 60 million, 65 million, now you're paying over 20% to one player. Like, that is...
Do you think we'll ever see max contracts for quarterbacks like they have in the NBA? With the way that the price keeps going up?
I don't think we will, because the owners are going to keep making money, and so the reason that works in the NBA is because the players run the league. The NFLPA runs that league. Like, if the PA says it's happening, it's happening. So in the NFL, the owners don't run that way. The owners don't let that happen. The owners run the league.
But let's say the league came out and said you have to have a max contract for quarterbacks is 55.
Then the NFLPA would go on strike. The NFLPA would go on strike immediately.
Really?
Oh, dude. Think about it. The owners are basically saying, we're going to continue to make more money, and we're not going to give you anything else, and we're going to, if you play quarterback, we're going to limit how much money you can make. We continue to make more money.
Well, that money is now going to make the team better. You know that. So the salary,
but it's not.
Yes, like the money taken from paying these guys above 55 million would go towards other positions. The cap saved would go
but the
making
quarterbacks,
the team better.
I see what you're saying. Sorry, but the quarterbacks are still losing out on money. Everybody else can make more money. Why can't I make more money?
Because
the NFLPA would never let it happen.
They're making twice. They're making twice the highest paid any other position.
We touch the ball every single play. We touch the ball 4 times as much as anybody else. We should get paid at least 2 times as much as what they're going to say.
So,
and you cannot agree with
centers should be making $60 million a year. They touch it. They touch it every play.
Preach.
They touch it every play.
I've said it since the beginning. Center's the hardest position on a football field. I've said it from the beginning. Centers should get paid way more than they do. But I'm just telling you.
I know I don't look like it, but I played center up until my freshman year of high school. I was built different, you know what I mean?
And then you went beanpole on everybody. There's no way the PA would let it happen.
I see.
Do I think it would be good for the league? Yeah.
I was coming from the side of it as, like, if we limit what they're making, that cap can go towards other positions and drive their markets higher and higher.
And I totally get where you're coming from with that. I do. I understand it. I see it. I feel it. And it would work. But the problem with that is that the guy who's up next, right? Like, say Josh Allen's the next guy to get paid, right? And they say, we're limiting it to $70 million, and the guy currently makes 65, and Alan goes, I could have made like 75. I could have made $75 million, and you're now limiting me to 70. That's bullshit. Like, I could make an extra $5 million, and a lot of people be like, oh, that's, you already have $70 million. What do you need $75 million for? Like, think about that. No matter how much money you have, if I just come up and say I'm taking $5 million from you, you're gonna be like, whoa, 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 why? So, and then he's gonna go to the PA, and the PA is gonna be like, yeah, no, we're not letting that happen. So, boom, immediate shutdown of that. And that's part of the reason that I think the NFL will trend towards the cap hit specifically for quarterbacks being a separate number. So you have, let's say you take 30% of the current cap at all times is the max you could pay a quarterback.
But what essentially would be different between that and a max contract? Because if they had their own
a
salary
max contract
cap,
wouldn't go up year to year. The percentage of the cap would increase with the cap versus a set number would just be a set number. So like say 30% of the cap, right? Like 25 or 55 is 20% of the cap, right? So, 75, $80 million would be the 30% number. So your quarterbacks on your roster, all three of them, however many quarterbacks you have to come in under $80 million.
I see. Yep.
So, which I like. I think all positions should be that way. I think there should be cap hits per position, not per team. Now it gets very greasy and very hard to manage on the books and accounting wise. That gets very difficult. So, and I see why they don't want to do that because it turns it into a cluster very fast. But I do think having it for quarterbacks would benefit the league greatly. Because let's look at the bottom of the top 10 here, right? You have Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, Kyler Murray, Deshaun Watson. Those are all, I don't think Deshaun Watson deserves to be a top 25 paid quarterback. Kyler Murray might be in the top 15. Hurts could be made. There's an argument for a top 10 highest paid guy in Hurts. Lamar should be top 3, and Herbert should be top 5. So all of those guys, some of them don't even belong in the same neighborhood.
There's one name that I haven't heard yet, but now I'm very curious of.
Who?
Where does Josh Allen rank in all this?
13th. $43 million a year.
Well,
13th. Let me pull up his contract details here. So Josh Allen is currently so it's 2024, so he's a $30 million cap hit this year. Holy shit. Next year, he has a $60 million cap hit in 2025. 26, he has a $56 million. 27, he has a $49 million. And 28, he has a $45 million cap hit. So in 2028, that would be nothing, right? Like, nothing by that time. But percentage of the cap currently, this year he's at 11.89. Next year, 22.2. The year after that, 19. The year after that, 15. And then he drops back down to 13.66. So in my personal, humble opinion, you're basically eliminating the Bills from Super Bowl contention by paying a guy that much. Like, you just don't win Super Bowls with a guy making that much of the cap.
But I do, that knowing his contract situation, it kind of makes sense why the Bills shipped out Stephon. Whereas their mindset is, we're going to be paying him all this money. We can't have the pieces around him. Why not be a little bit worse? So when that contract tapers off and we start paying him less at the end of his contract, we have a good team around him where now it's more enticing to bring him back on a deal after that contract.
Okay, so let's talk here for a second. We're going to talk about the Jordan Love deal for a second. I wasn't aware of the details. This is kind of a genius contract by Green Bay.
How so?
Let me share screen here. Oh, there we go. Okay, so this is Jordan Love's contract. Okay, this is this year he's making $20 million. Nothing.
Yeah, not bad.
8.13. Next year he's making $29 million. 10.89, right? So nothing. The next year, 2026, $36 million, 12.37. Like that's not a whole lot. The next year, 42 million. He's not even making $40 million until 2027, right? So 13, that's a little high. And then in 2028, he's set to make $74 million, which at that time will probably be somewhere in the top five, right? Top five-ish level contract. And so if he's still playing on this deal, I think it'd be safe to assume he would be in the top five-ish players in that position, right? But where it gets interesting is these void years. So these void years, right? So in 2029, whether he is on the Packers or not, they are paying him $34 million on the books, whether he's on the team or not. They could cut him, they could trade him, whatever you want. They're paying him $37 million if he's on this contract. Whoever he's playing for is paying that money. The next year, $14 million. The next year, $6 million. So a lot of that money is wrapped up in void years. Now, the reason this is, in my opinion, risky, it's genius, but it's risky because if he makes it to here, right, 2026, and you decide, we're not really, or you decide that you like him, right? You have this potential out, right? 3 years, and you have a potential out. Now you'd have to pay him $51 million. Like that'd be dead money. That's money you have to pay him no matter what because it's part of the guarantees from these years. But you can get out from underneath the void years. Or these, not the void years. The void years are what you'd pay him. These years are what you would get out from underneath. Because if you continue on into this fourth year of this deal, then you've decided like, oh, he's good enough to be our quarterback. They've kind of covered their own asses, essentially. The only way they kind of get screwed over here, one, Jordan Love sucks the next 3 years and they can't get out of it until the third year.
Yeah.
Or two, they make it to this third year, take him back, and then this year he loses it or gets hurt or something. Then you're locked in for all this money. You're paying him regardless.
Yeah, but it is kind of it is smart in a sense that let's say 3 years he's a bum, they decide to move on, they draft someone, they're going to be paying that money while they have a quarterback.
Yeah.
On a rookie, so, in theory, if that's all the cards fell right.
So this is what the Saints did for years, okay? This is what Sean Payton and the Saints did for years, okay? They would go out, they would get guys, they would move guys around, shift contracts around, and put it into void years. And that's why the Saints over the past couple seasons just fell off the face of the earth because they had to pay the piper. The cap, everybody goes, the cap's a myth, the cap's a myth. The cap isn't a myth. You eventually have to pay that money. And if you have a bunch of guys like the Vikings, they're kind of in that same situation right now. We have had up until this year Danielle Hunter on void years, Kirk on void years. We've had a lot of dead money for guys that aren't on the team anymore, but we got to pay those guys still because they're wrapped up in void years. Like we have to pay them whether they're on the team or not. So that's where the Vikings are at.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Do you remember a Bears linebacker named Danny Trevathan?
Yeah, Danny Trevathan, yeah.
I think it was last year. It may have been the year before. The Bears finally stopped paying him money.
Yeah.
He hadn't been on the team in like 5 years, and they were still paying him money.
Void years, man. It will absolutely, it helps you in this situation, right? Like they have, this 3 year window, and they have the youngest team in the NFL, right? Youngest team to make the playoff in NFL history. They have these 3 years to really lock it in, and hopefully all those players progress to a level to where they have a really young, good team and can make a Super Bowl run. This is really good as long as Love is as good as they think he is.
Yes.
Other than that, I mean, this is a lot of money to pay out, especially if he's not on the team. Paying out $51 million to a guy who's not on your team, that's a lot. That's a lot of money to pay to a guy who's not on your team. So,
that's got to be like almost a quarter of the cap, $50 million?
No. 50 million would be like 18% of the cap. 55 is 20%.
But still, to someone who's not on the team, that's kind
Exactly.
of
Well, it'll go
crazy.
up by then, right? The cap will go up by then, so it'll be a lesser percentage by then, but still.
Hmm.
It is a scary number to think about. I'm gonna zoom out a little bit here. There we go. I I would like to just say that I think that guys like Dak Prescott who are coming up for a contract, the fact that they're going to make $60+ million a year is absolutely wild to me. Um, yeah, I just can't. It's wild that Jordan Love, Trevor Lawrence. I'm gonna go through all the guys who I don't believe should be making as much as they are on this list, and you tell
Yep.
me agree or disagree. All right, and we'll end the
All right.
episode on that. We'll move on. If you've been listening this whole time, we thank you. Like, comment, subscribe, do all the good stuff. You know what to do. We're just gonna end it with this little wrap up here. Joe Burrow, $55 million a year. What do you think?
Agree.
All right, Jordan Love, $55 million a year.
Disagree.
Trevor Lawrence, $55 million a year.
Disagree.
Tua Tagovailoa, $53.1 million a year.
That pretty large disagree.
Pretty large disagree. Wow.
Yeah, this has been a take I haven't really dived too deep into yet, but I'm not much of a Tua guy.
All right, not a lefty guy. Jared Goff, $53 million a year.
Definitely not. Jared Goff's a bum.
Justin Herbert, $52.5 million a year.
What does he come in at?
What do you mean? He is sixth on the list.
Sixth? I think that's good for him. I think it's sixth.
Okay. Lamar Jackson is seventh at $52 million a year.
A little low, but top 7, I'm not against it.
Man deserves to be paid number one. Freaking 2-time MVP over here. All right. Anyways, not looking to get in an argument about it. Jalen Hurts, $51 million a year.
Again, a little high, but I think he's somewhere in that range.
Kyler Murray, $46 million a year.
I think that's good outside the top 10. Again, maybe a little high.
He's ninth.
Oh.
Deshaun Watson, $46 million a year.
I think that's too high, but I think when Deshaun signed that contract, he signed it for what he had done and hasn't lived up to it. So from that aspect, like he earned that money, but he has not lived up to the rest of it.
Okay. Kirk Cousins, 45. Kirk Cousins and Patrick Mahomes here. Give each separately. Kirk, go first. They're both at $45 million a year.
I like Kirk in the just outside the 10. I think Mahomes should be 1.
So Kirk's even, but Mahomes underpaid.
Yes.
All right, next guy on the list. I already know what this answer is going to be. Josh Allen, $43 million a year.
Oh, way too low. Should be top 5.
All right, we're going to wrap up with the number 14 spots, a 3-way tie. I was going to go to 15, but it's a 3-way tie at 14, so we'll do that. We have Dak Prescott, Daniel Jones, and Matthew Stafford, all at $40 million a year. So let's start with Dak.
Dak, he could probably be paid a little more, but I think 10 to 15 is good.
Daniel Jones?
Way overpaid. He should be a backup somewhere.
He will be soon. Matthew Stafford.
I think for what he's done, he's underpaid. Given the Rams the Super Bowl, like he should be he should be inside the top.
Okay, I was gonna stop there. I got some ones here. Like I gotta talk about these real quick. Number 17 is a 2-way tie between Derek Carr at 37.5 and this other quarterback in Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers and Derek Carr make the same amount of money. That's wild. Also, next up, what do you say?
I think they have both earned those for different reasons, if that makes sense. Rodgers Rodgers wasn't good when his last year in Green Bay gets hurt. You really don't know what Aaron Rodgers is going to be with the Jets. Derek Carr, I'm not completely out on him, but I think around 15th, between 15th and 20th is a fair price for him.
Derek Carr's a bottom 3 quarterback in the league right now. Dude's lost it. Dude's gone. All right, but let us know what you think down in the comments. We love that you stuck around to the end of the show. We believe that you guys are the reason that we will get to continue to do this. So thank you, everybody who stuck around. Make sure to like, comment, pass us along. Throw us to your weird uncle who likes to watch sports. I don't care. Just share. But all right, Riley, you got anything for the folks before we head out?
No, I don't think so. I think I pretty well called everyone bums.
Yeah. Make sure to go check out our channel and check out all our other videos. We got lots of good stuff, including we have almost wrapped up. We'll be doing week 14 next, but we have almost wrapped up our 2024 season predictions. So make sure to go check out that playlist on our channel, and we will see y'all next time.